Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Sesh. It's time for another reincarnation episode. I know, it's been a long time, but I think you'll agree, I've been a bit distracted by something. In the age of, well, it was late 80s, early 90s, when you had the Mazda MX-5, or Miata, just released. You had the MGTF, and you had this. Well, I guess the Fiat Barchetta, you know, there are other things as well. But this was the daddy, if you like. I mean, it's the rarest of them all, for a good reason as well. But let me talk you through what exactly we have here. Let's go around the front. We have pop-up headlights on this Lotus Elan. Now, this you'll recognise from the episode which you guys have probably already watched. If you haven't, go back and watch it. We saved it. We got it from up north, and Father has restored this to a mechanically perfect sort of fashion, and it is now absolutely great to drive. You will notice that it's got bird poo on it, but on the front here, where was it? Oh, on the door here, yes. You see this? There's lots of things like this on the paintwork. You see the mirror here. So even though it's mechanically perfect, it is still, body and paint wise, needing a bit of work. Let's talk about price. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much this one paid, how much time Father spent on it and everything like that, but I think we got this one for around $2,000-ish, and I think Father's probably spent about another $2,000 on it, so he spent about $4,000. It's worth between 5 and 6. If this car had a proper paint job and all that was done, these go for around £10,000, which is a premium, especially when you consider you can pick up an MX-5 for around, you know, sorry, we're talking Series 1 MX-5, the only one worth owning, probably, I don't know, what, like $3,000, maybe $4,000, and that would be a mint one. The sills go on those, they don't go on these, and that's because it's a Lotus and it's fiberglass. But apart from that, the main difference between this and its competitors is that it's front-wheel drive, rather like the Fiat Barchetta, except this one works. And also it's got a big turbo on it. Well, not a big turbo, it's just a turbo. But that means that it gets around 100 and, I think it's late 180s horsepower, and it weighs approximately a ton. So it's lighter and more powerful than its competitors, which means it goes, which we will get to in a bit. We're going to go for a drive, it's going to be great. But let's talk a bit about this. This video is called Living with this Lotus Elan, and I can tell you that this is an absolute gem. Because it's a turbo, if you're just driving normally, you know, just cruising in 4th and 5th, you will do between 40 and 50 miles to the gallon in this thing. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But obviously if you're on boost and going for it Colin Chapman style, then you're going to notice that significantly drop. But the point is you have an option. With other cars, like the lesser power cars, you need to really drive them to get any sort of performance out of them, and that's where it drops down. Now, if this car is so brilliant, then why didn't it sell by the millions like the MX-5 did? And why haven't you heard about it? And, you know, why aren't they as popular? Well, it's quite simple, really. This was the most expensive one of them all. Right off the bat, I honestly can't quote prices, but it was. In fact, I think it was about a quarter more expensive than the MX-5. Let's not forget, this was in an era where hot hatchbacks were taking over and people wanted rear-wheel drive sports cars, and this one's front-wheel drive, which is already a big issue. Trying to sell a sports car that's front-wheel drive in the 90s, that's never going to happen. And for that reason purely, I think that is why the MX-5 took over. I mean, I feel like it would have done anyway because it was cheaper, but by so much. Let's get one thing straight here. When Lotus were developing this and they made the decision to go front-wheel drive, it was purely so that they could say, we've done it, we've made a front-wheel drive car that goes and stops and turns like it's on rails, and that's exactly what they did. But no one believed them. No one believed them, and no one, due to English cars sort of, you know, historic reliability, questionable build quality and things like that, no one even thought about, right, I'm not going to spend that much money on a car that's probably not going to work. Nowadays you can pick them up for cheap if you're willing to do a bit of work. You can pick them up between 6 and 7. It is a collector's car. It is going to appreciate in value, and you will see it drives gorgeously. It has been so good driving this car. Let's cut to that. So here we are, and I tell you what, this car is just glorious. Roof down, sun. You would have thought having a convertible, you know, sports car, he's going to be driving it like an idiot, he's going to be racing everywhere. It's quite the opposite, guys. I just want to chill in the sun, roof down, maybe some burbles now and again from the engine, but apart from that, not much. The only thing I will say negatively about this car is that the gear change and the clutch are so mushy, stiff and stern, but muffled, like really just muffled, especially when you go from third into second, which I will do. The plus point of doing that though is now we're in what I like to call Lotus Mode, which when you get on the top end of the cab you can really, well, slow down to overtake a cyclist, but you get my point. It just changes the car completely from what is a lovely little cruiser, you know, go for a weekend away with your partner, into something that you can really take to the track and do what Colin Chapman intended. I mean, this car's great. The steering is heavy. It is hydraulically assisted. It makes some funny noises now and again. It's still heavy enough. It's a front-wheel drive car, of course, as we said. Normally, that means that that's going to numb the steering because the front of the car has got the engine, the steering and everything. They have to assist the steering in order to make it work correctly. But I mean, they've done a really good job in keeping this car front-wheel drive, but still a driver's car. They wanted to keep that steering feel. They wanted to make sure that you got what you, well, the Lotus you wanted. Look at this little fella. Lovely. Okay, so you've seen the video. It goes and it drives wonderful. And I cannot drive this car without a smile on my face. It is so good and really easy to live with. But I know what you're thinking. It's summer. It's gorgeous weather. What about in the winter when this goes down? We're talking about daily driving this car. What it's like to daily drive the Lotus Elan M100. Well, I can't really answer that. I've only got to have this car for about 2 weeks and it is summer. I can't help it. But what I can say is that it doesn't leak. We do live in England and even in summer it rains a lot. It doesn't leak, which is really weird. Let's go through on the roof mechanism a bit. So, in order to unlock the car, see, there's a reason why I didn't put the keys in the thing. 2 keys, one to start it, an immobiliser as well. I don't think the immobiliser's factory. It's a bit sloppy in there, but whatever. Bit of that, some of that. So, central locking too, guys. What's going on? You got this little pull here. Pull that, and that then opens this, where the roof is. Look at this, look. And you just literally do that. Couple of clips on the front and you're done. That is not a difficult procedure to do, everyone. I think everyone can say they would be happy to do that. The seals on that go around the top of the window. In fact, look, let me get it out. I'll show you. I'll show you them. I'm not going to put the roof up properly, but you can see these seals here. You see how tatty they are? They go. They go in a big way. And they are, as you can imagine, on a rare car, on a bespoke component like that, quite expensive to replace because they pretty much have to be made by someone who, well, that's his job, he makes them. It's about 70 quid per seal, and you have 3 on this each side. So it gets ridiculous. You get things like this as well. This is over the windscreen, of course. Now, let's just go back to the fact that I said that this doesn't leak. I don't know how it doesn't leak, but it doesn't. If you were to do those seals, it would be absolutely golden, I bet. The heater is actually really good in this car as well. No air conditioning because you paid for a convertible. Why do you want air conditioning? Now then, on that side, we have the toggle to release the roof panel here. This side, you've got another toggle, and that is the filler cap. Inside the car, full leather, all that sort of stuff. This car has got these 2 sort of accoutrements here. The gear knob is all right, even though the shift, as mentioned in the driving video, is really, I don't know if you can tell, maybe that is actually quite a good visual demonstration. It's kind of stiff, but really sloppy, like you're trying to, you poke the sponge with a skewer and then you're putting it in maple syrup and you're trying to move it. It's really weird. It's stiff, but it's not. I don't know. You get it. You've got little cubby holes everywhere. Little cubby holes. The radio's not in it currently. It's here. That's so. Oh, and a mask. But it's so it doesn't get stolen. And to be honest, I haven't reached for that once, because when you drive this car, you want to hear the noises it makes. Those little turbo whooshes, you know, and the exhaust note. You want to hear all that. Now then, there were 2 keys on the key ring. One's doors, the other one's the boot. And this is what really surprises me, actually. Look how deep that boot is. It's quite dark in there, but it's a very, very nice deep boot. And that means you could feasibly even do a whole shop on that. Not too bad at all. This is really where the arguments start running out for why this isn't one of the best collectible cars to get when you're a bit on a budget and you want to daily drive it, because you can pop up headlights. If that's not worth it, I don't know what is. They work really well actually as well. I will say that the gear change in there, it feels sloppy. There's actually a specific kit that you can get to make that much better. So all these things can be changeable. Another thing to mention is that since buying this car, Father's bought another one. And when he first got this one, these didn't work. They didn't flip up. That is because if you've got someone sat on them, I'm not putting my weight on it, I'll probably fall through. But if you sat on them and then turn them on, there's a gear in there that pops out to stop the mechanism completely breaking. Now that gear will then go or something like that. And then when you try it again, when the person's not sat on it, it would come up fine. But that gear perishes. So all we've done is bypass that. So if we were to sit on these now, it would be almost catastrophic. But it means that you've taken that unreliability out. And obviously, I mean, how many times a week do you have people sitting on your pop-up headlights, eh? Not very often. So they're amazing. Let's look at the engine bay. I mean, it is an Isuzu powered 4-cylinder engine with a turbo on it. I've never opened the bonnet before, so I hope there's not a weird catch in there or something. There is. I've got it. Look at that. I mean, as I said, it's Isuzu, it's Lotus, double overhead cam, 16 valve, and it's got a turbo on the front there. Not really too much more to go through. I'll tell you what is worth mentioning though, this little fluffer here. Look at this little gizmo. You've got 5 seconds to guess what it is. Oh, it's actually the vacuum actuator for the turbo gauge inside the car. There you go. I mean, it's so cool, isn't it? And to look at it in red as well. I actually had the opportunity to buy this car, and I know what you're thinking, Mike. Well, if you're talking it up, why aren't you going to buy it then? Why aren't you going to take it off your father's hands? The simple question is, I got a scimitar, and I want to concentrate my money on that. I need to finish it off. It is the car that I love more than anything, is that scimitar. I don't know why, I'm irrationally attached to it, I know, but I need to focus my income on that, and I can't be having loads of projects kicking about. I've got 4 cars in the driveway currently. But yes, this is a gorgeous little car. To round up, go out and buy yourself one if you've got the space, time and money. It is better than the MX-5 to drive. I've driven one. Unless you've probably got an MX-5 with a turbo on it, because I do prefer rear-wheel drive on paper. But for a front-wheel drive car, this is one of the best handling. Even race drivers have said it. Honestly, worth a peek. Worth a peek, guys. If this car's so great, Mike, then why don't I see them everywhere? Why didn't they sell in the millions like the... Thank you very much.
Ruined it for you.
Thank you. Fucking cyclists.